Level 1 Homemade Classic. Before the billion-dollar suits, the AI voice in the mask, and the Stark Tech upgrades, there was a kid in a bedroom with a sewing kit, a hoodie, and probably way too much caffeine. The very first Spider-Man costume, the homemade one, is pure teenage chaos turned into superhero glory. It's the I can fix it myself phase of Peter Parker's life, and honestly, I think it works way better than it should. Back in Amazing Fantasy number 15 in 1962, a scrawny science nerd named Peter Parker gets bitten by a radioactive spider, freaks out, realizes he can crawl on walls, and then, in true teenage fashion, decides, yeah, I'll make a costume and go fight crime. Written by Stan Lee and drawn by Steve Ditko, the issue gave us a hero who didn't come from a lab or an alien planet. He came from a sewing machine and leftover fabric. The suit wasn't sleek or armored, it was just cloth and some goggles and a lot of guts. The mask hid a scared 15-year-old, but the suit announced something bigger, an idea. On top of that, Peter wasn't just jumping off rooftops in pajamas, he added science. The kid built mechanical web shooters, filled them with his own custom web fluid, and strapped them on like he was ready to ace a chemistry final and a street fight at the same time. His powers came from the spider bite, but his web slinging, well, that was pure Peter. I like to think that this whole setup screamed DIY genius and not corporate superhero. It's agility over armor, brains over brawn, and trial and error over perfection. And it's not like he nailed it on the first try. Early Spider-Man was basically testing his own product line in real time, swinging into walls, missing web shots, and realizing spandex is terrible for stealth. But I think that's exactly what made him human. He wasn't invincible, he was scrappy. Every ripped seam and smoke-stained glove said, yeah, I messed up, but I'll fix it. The suit was light, flexible, and extremely breakable, which made him easy to root for. Story-wise, the homemade suit became a gift for every writer after. It could be torn, replaced, remade, or upgraded depending on where Peter was in life. The fabric changed, the logo shifted, but the essence stayed the same. A symbol of resourcefulness and teenage determination. Ditko's original version had wrinkles, patches, and uneven lines, which of course played perfectly matched to Peter's awkward charm. But later artists like John Romita Sr. cleaned it up, gave us the polished red and blue look we all know, but that first suit, that's the heart of Spider-Man. Every reboot, every movie, every new era of Spider-Man still traces back to that bedroom project from 1962. It's not the flashiest, and definitely not the safest, but it's the most Peter Parker thing ever. A scared kid in homemade spandex deciding to stand up anyway. And somehow, that never stopped being cool. Level 2, Stealth Suit. Spider-Man's big-time stealth suit is what happens when Peter Parker finally gets a day job and instantly uses it to make his vigilante life easier instead of, buying himself a car. After years of sewing his own costumes in his apartment, Peter lands a gig at Horizon Labs, basically the dream job for any science nerd who likes explosions but also has rent due. And the first thing he builds, a sleek, light-bending, sound-canceling supersuit that screams, I'm smart, broke, and running on coffee. The suit shows up in Amazing Spider-Man number 650 during Dan Slott's biggest time storyline, a period where Peter finally stops being the freelance disaster magnet and becomes an actual scientist with access to lab-grade toys. His first challenge? The Hobgoblin's lunatic laugh, a sonic weapon so obnoxious it basically weaponizes an evil cackle. To survive it, Peter designs a suit that doesn't punch harder, but smarter. The stealth suit is a flexible multi-mode costume that manipulates both light and sound. It can make Spider-Man vanish from cameras and the human eye by bending light around him, which is perfect for sneaking, spying, or dramatically exiting a conversation. It also has an anti-sonic mode that cancels out sound attacks, which I think is a huge win against villains who treat screaming like a superpower. And since Peter's always juggling about 12 crises at once, the suit includes indicator lights and noise-canceling tech to help him stay oriented mid-battle. Basically, it's like your AirPods got promoted to superhero gear. What I think makes it fun is that the suit's not overpowered or over-designed. It's still light, flexible, and very Spider-Man. Peter didn't build a tank, he built a problem solver. He's using Horizon's tech and resources, but he's still the one calling the shots, coding the systems and probably ruining the lab microwave in the process. It's the first time we really see Peter balancing lab genius with street-level hero work, which is a middle ground between his DIY roots and the high-tech Iron Man collaborations later on. And the best part? The suit looks incredible. It glows from bright neon lights that shifts colors depending on the mode, green for stealth, red for anti-sonic. It's flashy, but not too flashy, the kind of upgrade that says, yes, I can turn invisible, but I still pay my bills late. Level 2 on Spider-Man's suit evolution ladder is where he levels up from talented teenager to actual scientist who makes cool stuff. It's the stage where Peter learns he doesn't need alien goo or billionaire gadgets to grow, just the right tools, a bit of science, and probably a boss who doesn't ask too many questions about why he keeps disappearing during lunch breaks. The big time suit isn't about being stronger, it's about being smarter, and I think for Spider-Man, that's always been the real superpower. Level 3 Symbiote. Every hero has that one outfit that changes everything. For Spider-Man, it's the black suit. Sleek, mysterious, and way too alive for comfort, this wasn't just a wardrobe upgrade. It was an alien life form that decided Peter Parker would make a nice roommate. For a while, it was perfect. No washing, no tears, no late night sewing sessions. But like every too good to be true situation, it came with the side of, oh no, it's trying to eat me, which you'll find out why in a second. The story starts in Secret Wars number 8 in 1984, when Peter's red and blue suit gets shredded in battle. He finds what he thinks is a repair machine, presses a button, and out comes this smooth black blob that warps around him and forms a new costume. It's aerodynamic, stealthy, and honestly kinda stunning. The goth phase of Spider-Man's career. When Peter brings it back to Earth in The Amazing Spider-Man number 252, the new look turns heads. It's darker, sharper, and oozes confidence. Literally. If you've seen Bully Maguire, then you'd know. At first, the suit feels like an upgrade straight out of a dream. It gives Peter boosted strength, endless organic webbing, and the ability to blend into the shadows. He can swing farther, fight longer, and even change the suit into normal clothes on command. It's like having superpowers inside your superpowers, but something feels off. Peter starts snapping at friends, getting more aggressive and losing sleep. The black suit doesn't just make him stronger, it starts whispering in his head, pushing him to act on his worst instincts. What's worse, Peter eventually learns the truth. It's alive. The suit isn't made of tech or fabric, it's a symbiote, an alien parasite that feeds on adrenaline and emotion. It wants to merge with Peter permanently, body and mind. When he finally tears it off with the help of the Fantastic Four, it's not out of disgust, it's out of fear. This thing loves him way too much, and after Peter rejects it, the symbiote rebounds like a bitter ex and finds someone else who hates Peter just as much, Eddie Brock. Together, they become Venom, one of Spider-Man's most famous and terrifying enemies. The black suit is the moment Spider-Man's costume stopped being clothing and became a character. Levels 1 and 2 were all about Peter's craftsmanship, a kid with a sewing kit and then a scientist with some lab access. Level 3 is something else entirely, a living being that changes him from the inside out. It's a horror story wrapped in spandex, and basically what happens when the thing that makes you stronger starts to control you. And even after Peter gets rid of it, the shadow of that black suit never really leaves. It gave the world Venom, reshaped Spider-Man's identity, and asked the scariest question any hero would face. What if your costume wants you more than you want it? Level 4, Spider Armor. There comes a point in every hero's life when you realize spandex isn't exactly bulletproof. For Spider-Man, that moment hit hard, literally. Enter the Spider Armor, the era when Peter Parker finally admitted that dodging isn't a perfect defense strategy, especially when the bad guys start carrying rocket launchers. Sometimes the webhead needs to trade his gymnast vibes for a little tank energy. For this first real version of this upgrade, the Spider Armor Mark I showed up in Web of Spider-Man number 100 in 1993. The setup is classic 90s chaos. Peter's up against the new Enforcers, a bunch of heavy-hitting villains who treat him like a chew toy. So, he builds a shiny metallic-looking suit that's basically Spider-Man saying, fine, you want to hit me? Go ahead, see what happens. The armor looks like someone dipped the original suit in liquid steel, and honestly, it's kinda iconic. It was never meant to replace the red and blue, it was a survival tool, a one-time flex to show the brains and brawn can coexist. The Mark I was all about practicality. With ceramic mesh plating, reinforced joints, and just enough mobility to still throw a few flips if he stretched first. It could shrug off bullets and blunt hits, but I would say it made swinging around the city feel more like wearing medieval armor than superhero gear. On top of that, it muted sound cues, which Peter actually relies on in fights, so while the armor kept him alive, it also made him clunkier and less nimble. Basically, he went from graceful acrobat to very polite refrigerator, but Peter's a tinkerer, and one version of armor was never going to be enough. As time went on, the spider armor became more of a series than a single suit. The Mark II arrived when Peter temporarily lost his spider sense, which, if you don't know, is like losing his sixth sense for danger. He needed a bulletproof backup plan, so he designed an upgraded model with better plating, magnetic webbing, and a don't die today attitude. Later versions like the Mark III and Mark IV were full-on lab projects. Sleek modular builds made at Horizon Labs or Parker Industries with features like EMP resistance, environmental protection, and detachable gadgets. By that point, Spider-Man was building tech that even Tony Stark would side-eye. In the comics, spider armor always shows up when things get serious. I call it Peter's final boss outfit, the one he drags out when the city's falling apart or the villains are too dangerous for cloth and quips. But it never lasts long. The armor usually gets wrecked, retired, or replaced the moment the fight ends, because at his core, Spider-Man's still the kid who relies on instinct and speed, not metal plating. He's not Iron Man. Still, every time the armor appears, it shows us how adaptable Peter really is. He can swing through the sky in a hoodie, a stealth suit, or a walking tank. Whatever it takes to keep fighting, and sometimes, that's the real armor. Level 5, Iron Spider. There's Upgrade, and then there's Tony Stark built me a super suit. The Iron Spider marks the exact moment Peter Parker stops being the scrappy science kid patch in his own costume and starts showing up to work with Avengers-level hardware. It's flashy, it's high-tech, and it screams, yeah, I'm Spider-Man, but now my suit has a Wi-Fi signal stronger than your whole house. The Iron Spider made its first full appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man number 529 in 2006, right before Marvel's massive Civil War event. In story, Tony Stark, billionaire, genius, professional mentor/trouble magnet, gives Peter the new suit as part of bringing him closer to the Avengers. For Peter, this was the ultimate promotion. One minute he's fixing web shooters in his apartment, the next he's getting a Stark-engineered nanotech suit that could probably pass airport security on its own. Design-wise, the Iron Spider's pure Stark flair with Spider-Man flavor. Gone are the spandex days. This suit's armored, layered with heat-resistant materials, and loaded with tech. It comes with a built-in HUD, comms that link straight to Iron Man systems, and advanced sensors that make Spider-Sense look like dial-up. But the real showstopper? Those 3 golden mechanical legs. The Waldos that extend from the back like terrifyingly elegant extra limbs. They're perfect for climbing, fighting, or looking dramatically cool in the middle of a thunderstorm. Later versions even added cloaking, gliding, webbing, and environmental seals. But the core version already made Peter an absolute powerhouse. On top of that, the suit symbolized a lot more than a tech boost. It marked a turning point in Peter's story. He wasn't just swinging solo anymore. He was now plugged into Tony Stark's world, fighting beside Earth's most powerful heroes, and standing in the public spotlight. The timing of the upgrade was no accident. Civil War was brewing, and the superhero community was splitting over whether heroes could reveal their identities and register with the government. Peter, wearing a Stark-built suit and serving as Tony's protege, found himself right in the middle of it all. And that's where the Iron Spider gets interesting. It isn't just metal and gadgets, it's politics. The suit becomes a symbol of Peter's temporary alignment with Stark's side and his willingness to step into the system instead of staying the friendly neighborhood outsider. But when the reality of registration hits, when lives are lost and trust breaks down, Peter has to face the consequences of that choice. The same suit that once made him feel safe now represents everything he's unsure about. The Iron Spider isn't about Spider-Man going full Iron Man. It's about growing up and realizing power always comes with strings, especially when those strings are made of gold-plated nanotech. It's the moment Peter learns that being an Avenger means more than fancy gear. It means choosing who you are, even when the armor looks too good to give back. Level 6, Superior Spider-Man. Spider-Man's worn a lot of suits, but this one came with a whole new personality. Literally, the level 6 Superior Spider-Man suit isn't Peter Parker's creation at all. It's what happens when Dr. Octopus, aka Otto Octavius, steals Peter's body. He decides he can do the job better and redesigns everything to match his own ego. It's part superhero story, part midlife crisis with nanotech. The chaos starts at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man number 699 in 2012, where Otto swaps minds with Peter right before dying. Peter's consciousness fades out, and Otto suddenly has Peter's body, powers, and memories, basically a brand new life like he just got reincarnated. By the Superior Spider-Man number 1 in 2013, Otto's not pretending to be Peter for fun. He's fully committed to being a better Spider-Man, more efficient, more ruthless, and about 90% less charming. His version of the suit reflects that mindset immediately. Gone are the bright, playful tones of classic Spidey. The superior suit trades in bold red and blue for darker shades and sharper edges. It's built less for swinging through New York and more like running it like a surveillance state. Otto adds everything Peter never would. A full heads-up display inside the mask, identification scanners, forensic readouts, and tactical overlays. The lenses light up with data streams, turning Spider-Man into a walking CSI lab. On top of that, Otto gives himself retractable talons in the gloves and boots, perfect for surgical takedowns or, scaring criminals into early retirement. But he doesn't stop there. Otto builds an entire spider network using drones, remote sensors, and even programmed traps that can be activated by the chest emblem on his suit. It's efficiency at its peak. Spider-Man has a one-man police department. The downside, it's also completely terrifying. Otto's version of keeping the city safe looks a lot like authoritarian micromanagement. He doesn't patrol, he monitors. He doesn't improvise, he plans. Every feature of the suit screams control, precision, and zero tolerance for chaos, which is basically the opposite of everything Peter ever stood for. That's what makes this era so fascinating. The Superior Spider-Man story isn't about the costume's power, but about what happens when the wrong mind wears it. Otto genuinely believes he's being heroic, cleaning up the city, optimizing patrol routes, taking down villains faster than ever. But in doing so, he starts crossing moral lines Peter never would. The suit becomes a symbol of that shift, a perfect machine worn by a man who can't tell the difference between justice and domination. Eventually, the cracks show. The more Otto tries to control everything, the more he realizes Peter's empathy, the one thing that he saw as a weakness, was the real strength. The superior suit is brilliant, intimidating, and sleek, but it's also cold. I would call it a visual proof that being better doesn't always mean being right. Sometimes being Spider-Man isn't about efficiency, it's about heart. Level 7, Spider-Man 2099. If Peter Parker's suit was science fair genius, Miguel O'Hara's is full-blown biotech horror movie. Welcome to the year 2099, where Spider-Man isn't sewing fabric in his bedroom anymore. He's part human, part lab experiment, and part corporate property. This version of Spider-Man doesn't just wear his suit, he grows into it. It's the future, and the line between man and costume has officially dissolved. Miguel O'Hara first swung into existence in Spider-Man 2099 number 1 in 1992. He's a geneticist for the mega corporation Alchemax, which is basically if Amazon, Google, and your DNA testing kit had a baby and raised it to rule the planet. Miguel tries to recreate the original Spider-Man's abilities using genetic engineering, but of course, science backfires spectacularly. A lab accident scrambles his DNA with that of a spider, and suddenly the guy's got fangs, talons, night vision, and webbing that literally comes out of his arms. No wrist shooters, no gadgets, just pure unfiltered arachnid nightmare fuel. To survive in the chaotic skyscraper jungle of Nuevo York, which is basically the universe's New York, Miguel designs a suit made from unstable molecule fabric, which is the same material used by the Fantastic Four, because regular spandex would last about 2 seconds against his claws. The suit's tougher than anything Peter ever wore, built to handle his new physiology instead of enhancing it. It even comes with a stylish little web cape that acts like an airfoil, letting him glide between buildings. Later versions of the suit can cloak him from view, which is perfect for sneaking around in a city ruled by surveillance drones and corporate bounty hunters. What makes this suit hit level 7 on the spider ladder is that it's biologically synchronized. The costume isn't an accessory, it's an ecosystem. Miguel's body and his suit are designed to operate together, one protecting, the other powering. His talons can retract, his vision adjusts to darkness, and his organic webbing connects directly to the suit's structure. On top of that, the whole thing feels alive, like it's an extension of his mutated DNA. It's part armor, part identity crisis. The story itself leans hard into cyberpunk tragedy. Miguel's not some goofy scientist in over his head, he's a brilliant man, forced to become a corporate weapon in a dystopia that literally owns people. His Spider-Man identity becomes rebellion, a way to fight back against the same system that made him. But I think the irony is painful. He's fighting corporate control with a body and suit engineered by a corporation, which to me sounds poetic and depressing in the best way possible. So while Peter Parker's suit symbolized responsibility, Miguel symbolizes evolution, and not the nice kind. It's sleek, deadly, and smarter than any version before it. Well, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Grabbing more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.